The first, in mindset number 1, we talked about not spending enough time worrying about your kid's mindset because you're kind of not present. So, or you worry about your kid's mindset and you forget about your own, and it becomes this sort of vicious cycle. We talked about limiting beliefs and how they began like before you were 9 in your childhood. What's really interesting, because we do a lot of sort of quantum field energy research ourselves, Eric and I keep hearing people say, oh, well, it happens before you're 8, is when you sort of get ingrained with all of this. And I think sort of having the anthroposophical knowledge of what happens at the 9-year change, I think it's so very interesting, because that 9-year change is so pivotal for children. And they go from everything being like sort of beautiful and fun and more family centered, and then they start to turn around and sort of turn their energy more toward the world. And you know, it sort of happens in these cycles. It starts at 3 and then there's more at 6, but 9 is really this sort of pivotal place where they have so much more capacity than they did at 7 and 8, and they're just sort of like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right, and he's not doing what he should, and you told me all of these things were right, and I don't know that I believe you anymore. All of that stuff starts to really happen around 9. So all of the things that you've taught them, all of the, whether they be good, bad, ugly, amazing, all of those things that you've taught them are sort of now on parade and on the chopping block, because they want to know. They want to understand justice. So from this idea that we have our limiting beliefs all instilled in us before we're 9, or before, most people say before we're 8, it's very interesting, again, from this more Waldorf-centered perspective of the 9-year change and how it coincides with that. Because there is this developmental leap at 9, and they're taking often all of the things that we've taught them until then, and they're really testing them out. And so if we've given them a life of a foundation where it's not been full of limiting beliefs, it can be a very positive thing. It's still going to be rocky. It's still going to be rocky. I'm just telling you, the 9-year change is no picnic. But it can also be, if you've not instilled that or not given that to them, and sort of think back on your own lives too, and sort of what where you were during those changes. But if that's not been the case, then it's much rockier for them. I can remember just in our situation, my oldest son was going through the 9-year change during my divorce. And excuse me, that was it was a very trying time for him. There were hang-ups and struggles that he had later that all centered around like what was right with his world during that time. So I had just finished my divorce at that point, and we were in this throes of like visitation, and things are right at mom's house, but what the heck's going on at dad's house, and that kind of thing. And so that those signposts, the 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, all of those are very pivotal years. And it's very interesting to sort of go back and look at the limiting beliefs that we had in our own childhood and where they came from. So we can develop limiting beliefs later in adult life, but usually they stem back to something that happened then. So that the threads of them happened then. So I could say for myself, I remember when Eric and I got married, it took a while for me to be like, you're the real deal, right? Like, you're not going to run away. I'm not going to, the crazy that we have going on here with these 3 children that are nuts, but amazing. That's not, and my ex-husband that is a crazy stalker, like that's not going to make you run away, right? Because I had this limiting belief that I could not be loved completely by somebody this amazing. And that came not from, there were seeds that were planted way back with my father because he left. My parents divorced when I was around the 9-year change, and right around that period of time of not understanding, and then all of a sudden having the world thrust on you, which is what happens at the 9-year change. And so I remember that sort of carried with me. So I brought that into my marriage with my ex-husband, who, didn't have the capacity to love me the way I needed to be. And then I worried that that was going to be something that I was going to revive and revisit with Eric. And it took me a while to be like, oh, wait, he's the real deal. And so that changed that limiting belief. But those limiting beliefs come from somewhere. And so if you are having struggles, whether it be financial, relationship, parenting, all of those things, they come from somewhere. You can't do planning. I go, okay, where did that come from? Because it came from somewhere, and it serves you, whether it be in a positive way or a negative way, so you continue to revisit it. And so this mindset work that we're doing in these 3 episodes is really about getting you to stop speaking and start thinking about what's coming out of your mouth, and whether it be towards your children or towards your partner or towards yourself, and really sort of gain a sense of, is this how I want things to go? And if not, I have the power to fix that. It will be hard, but I have the power to fix it. And it's hard, but simple. It's not easy. People often mix up simple and easy, and they're not the same. Something can be extremely simple to do, but be not easy to do. And so that's sort of what this work is it's simple, but it's not easy. So let's see, what else did we talk about? So I'm hoping actually that you guys have started thinking about your limiting beliefs when they come out of your mouth, and asking yourself, okay, is that a limiting belief? Because there are so many things that are limiting beliefs that just kind of fall out of our mouths. So get really conscious about your speech. Taking stock of your temperament. So certain temperaments, I would say the melancholy and the phlegmatic, are definitely more prone to limiting beliefs while they're trying to figure this piece out, where the sanguine just sometimes just says things that seem impossible, but they're not as prone to limiting beliefs. Cholerics can get jaded, and so they're prone to limiting beliefs, but once they've sort of gotten around that piece and they go, oh wait, I know this mindset stuff works, then they sort of get around it. All temperaments have the ability to get around this limiting belief garbage and really be able to pull it in and understand it. Okay, so let's see, I challenge you guys to sort of be mindful of it. Management mom is riddled with limiting beliefs, like completely. So if you are stuck in management mode, you should step back and really look at that. So let's see, often their limiting beliefs are, there's not enough time, they're not enough, they can't teach, there's not enough money. If you have a special needs child, that like runs your life, like you don't have another life after that. Like all of those things, that's part of management mom often, because she feels like she has to manage everything, and in being in that space, you're just spewing limiting beliefs from left and right. So I want to talk about how do we get around that. So I found 2 really great quotes. One is from Steiner and one is from Trostley. And if you don't know Roberto Trostley, he wrote Physics is Fun, and he also wrote Rhythms of Learning. And Rhythms of Learning is one of my favorite books. For our Thinking, Feeling, Willing members, July 10th, he will be our masterclass teacher. And he's going to be talking about physics and probably some Rhythms of Learning stuff. I have to give him my list of what I want him to talk about. So if you're listening and you're a middle schooler and a Thinking, Feeling, Willing, or middle school mom, Thinking, Feeling, Willing mom, let me know what you'd like, and I'll put it on my list for him. So here's the quotes. So the first one is from Steiner, from Kingdom of Childhood. These are things that matter most for young children. What you say, what you teach, does not yet make an impression, except insofar as children imitate what you say in their own speed. But it is what you are that matter. If you are good, this goodness will appear in your gestures, And if you are bad-tempered, it will also appear in your gestures. In short, everything that you do yourself passes over into the children and makes its way within them. This is an essential point. Children are wholly sense organ and react to all the impressions of people around them. Therefore, the essential thing is not to imagine that the children can learn what is good or bad, that they learn what this or that, but to know that everything that is done in their presence is transformed in their childish organisms into spirit, soul, and body. The health of children for the whole life depends on how you conduct yourself in their presence. That's really heavy. But it's so true. It's so true. Moms will say to me, I don't understand why my kids are having like a meltdown. They don't know about what's going on between Dad and I. They don't know that Dad and I are struggling. I go, oh yes, they do. They absolutely do. How you're acting and how you're feeling and how you're showing up, that's what they're reacting to. So if you are struggling with behaviors at home, you first got to look in the mirror and go, okay, how am I showing up? What's going on? Am I showing up the way I want them to, take away? Because again, this goes back to those mindset pieces. How we show up determines what their mindset is going to be in childhood and in adulthood. And for those of us who are struggling to overcome some mindset garbage, I want you to really think about how you got it and really think about sort of where it came from. This is the piece from Trostley. Trostley says, we must become more conscious of ourselves and commit to our strivings. We must work to transform ourselves so that the children in our care will be nourished by truth, beauty, and goodness living in our thoughts, words, and deeds. So I came across this because, Facebook is great because it gives you that, 2 years ago, you posted this kind of thing. And a couple of years ago, I had posed this question about sort of the way we talk. And I had kind of gone on a little rant about people who just let the F word fly constantly. Now, I'm going to say, if you ask anybody who knows me, I have been known to talk like a sailor. So I'm not putting on a self-righteous hat or anything like that. But I'm really conscious of it now in the last, probably 15 years. And keep in mind, my oldest son is 22 years old. So there was a good solid 7 years in there where I was not very conscious of it. But I've been really conscious of it and really conscious of the places that I allow myself to be and the people I allow myself to be around, because my speech will easily match whatever situation I'm in, easily. And so I know what I want my children to hear me say and what I want, the way I want to show up. And, I had posted this in response to a conversation that I had online about who uses the F word in their daily, with their children and their continual speech with their kids. And I was really surprised how many people were like, well, this is who I am. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anybody. That's what falls out of my mouth. And I was surprised, not because I think you should sugarcoat it for people. No, that's not why. I was surprised because of this piece right here of, if we're constantly striving to be better, if we're constantly striving to be the parents that sort of we show up in this Waldorf arena to be, in this attachment parenting arena to be. If we're striving toward that, then we're striving toward greatness with our children. And when we're striving toward greatness with our children, we have to watch our effing mouths. We just do. And we have to watch what we say. We have to watch what they hear us say. And we have to watch what they're around. I sort of joked with my adult son, Jacob, my 20-year-old. We took him to Disneyland last year. Was it last year? No, it was this year.
It was earlier this year.
It was earlier this year. And we took him on this ride called Guardians of the Galaxy, which is one of those rides where it takes you to the top and drops you. And it's absolutely one of my favorite rides. Not because, I mean, yes, because that part's fun. It's just funny because, I had a stroke and there's all these signs everywhere that say, if you have high blood pressure, if you have a heart condition, you shouldn't go on this ride. But no, we took him on it, and I did not send him the message that Disneyland is my F-free zone. And it's not just my F-free zone, okay? So if you've been there, then you know that you hear people talk differently there. You're going to see people have a lot of bad parenting moments there. You're going to see kids like tantruming because their kids are overwhelmed and their parents don't know what they're doing. But you're not going to hear that word there generally, unless it's grad nights. Like that's a whole other thing. When you got a whole bunch of teenagers there, they don't know how else to use their speech, so they use that word all the time. But anyway, so we took him on this ride. And that was the only word I heard the entire time we're on this ride and it's going up and down. And I turned to him after we got off and I said, I neglected to give you the memo. Disneyland is my F-free zone. He's like, oh, sorry, Mom. But anyway, it's all about how we speak to ourselves and how we show up. So, mindset. How do we start this with our kids? I like this. I have no affiliation with this company that I'm about to share. No affiliation at all. But the reason why I'm sharing it is because I found them last year. It can be hard to translate that in like this whole mindset stuff into how we bring things to our children. Because, as adults, I want to go, yeah, anything is possible. Like anything is possible. But I say that to Soraya and she's like, oh, so can we go to the moon tomorrow? And I'm like, no, that's not possible. So we have to find tangible ways to really be able to bring this to them. Like really tangible ways. And tangible ways to help them build themselves up and feel good about themselves so that they can become, adults that have good mindsets. And so I found this website. It's called biglifejournal.com. And so they have two different ones. First I'm going to read this. So this came with Soraya's. It says, I have a growth mindset. I am in charge of how smart I am because I can grow my brain like a muscle by learning hard things. I can achieve anything with effort and right strategies. And even if I fail or make a mistake, it is a great thing because I can learn from them and I can get better. So how often in our lives, I love it. So it's up, it's got post-it stuff on it. It's up in our dining room. But how often in our lives do we look at something as a failure and say that we failed? Because somebody, somewhere, back there before we were 9, gave us this idea that failure was a bad thing. And failure doesn't feel great, but it's a really good way to learn. It's a really good way to learn. And, we often will talk about Edison and the light bulb. Like, how many times did he fail at making a light bulb before he made it? And then here we have this light bulb that that's used everywhere on this planet. Like, everywhere. Based on, all those failures. These journals, I think they're pretty amazing. And they have 2 versions. And again, I have no affiliation. I should see if they have an affiliate program, but I have no affiliation with them. They have a big kid version, which is just called Big Life Journal Teen Edition. This is one Sam's been working in. I'll just read you some of the things in here. So I'll read you some of the chapters. Chapter 1, it all starts here. Chapter 2, Exploring You. Chapter 3, Dreaming Up Your Life. Chapter 4, From Dreams to Reality. Chapter 5, The Keys to Success. So I love it. There are lots of graphics through here. This one says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Henry Ford. That's one of my favorite quotes. So there are stories in here from people who have overcome adversity, people who have had struggle. I like in Soraya's, Soraya's has got, this is the kid version, little kid version. And it will need, she's been using this for the last, they got these for Christmas, right? Yeah, it's been, so about 6 months. So you will need, for a younger child, you're going to need to do this with them. So she and I have been doing it together. So you want to pick somebody who is, going to be the scribe, I suppose, for a younger child, and you're sort of doing it together. And it's broken up into weeks, and we try to do it on Sundays, Sunday afternoons. It becomes something, becomes an alternative to them asking about the TV on Sundays. So, excuse me. So we were doing that. I think that it's appropriate, especially for the younger child, that you should plan that you're going to do more than one. I think the teen version could take them through for sure. But, you know, like Soraya wants to meet Godzilla. And so that's not going to serve her when she's 11. It might in some way. That's probably a limiting belief right there. But we talk about dreaming big in here, and the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. That's an Eleanor Roosevelt quote. I love that there are these positive quotes throughout here, and it prompts them to do things, to really think about their lives in a very age-appropriate way. So Sam's is different than Soraya's in that, you know, there's more depth in the teen version because obviously they have a deeper capacity. Things are more surface for the younger children, but that's really where they live anyway. So I think that that keeping that in mind is important. I think one of the things that I loved about Soraya's story is the story of Tom's shoes is in here, and that was one of the first things in the beginning. Like, how do you make a difference in the world? And to a young child, it's really hard to think about. How to make a difference in the world. And so with that said, I wouldn't get this for a 6-year-old. You know, Soraya was 7 when we got it. I think 7 going on 8 is probably a good space. Now, I know that people at Big Life Journal will be like, yes, you should get it for the 6-year-old. But this is the reason why. I don't want you to like dive into things that pull them out of where they should be developmentally before they're ready. You know, I really want you to sort of keep them in that space. And that way, you know, they're really being developmentally appropriate as they're going through. So that's for anybody who's struggling with how do I, you know, bring this to my kids. Now, I'm going to say these were an investment. And I think they were $20 a piece. You can go. They have a ton of free stuff on their website. So I was going to show you this week's free printout is sort of this dream board for summer. It's like 45 ideas for my big life summer. So it prompts you, there's all these, so here's some of the ideas. Create a big life summer board. That's the first thing you're supposed to do. Have a dance party, attend a summer reading program at the library, play water balloons, explore local parks. So there's just ideas here for parents. And then it takes you through making a dream board for the summer. And there's printouts that you can put on your dream board, and pictures nicely drawn for all of us that love nice Waldorfy pictures, nicely drawn pictures. So it's a great way to sort of get you going. But what I like about it is that they have an email. Like, you join their email list, they'll send you a freebie every week. They have an Instagram. I think it's just Big Life Journal. And so, you know, it's a great way to get ideas on how you can instill these concepts into young children, because it's not easy, because you find yourself tripping up over all your words, and you don't want to do that. You want to sort of be in a place of not being limiting, but also being truthful, and examining yourself at every turn. Like, is it true? I love the work of Byron Katie, because she sort of got me into asking, like, is it true? Like, is this true? And then if it's true, like, what can I do about it? Or is it only true from my perspective? And I think that's really important to sort of ask, is it true? Is it only true from my perspective? So my challenge for you between now and next week is to, again, really pay attention to your limiting beliefs. I would love it if you would send them to me. DM them to me, PM them to me, and say, these are the limiting beliefs I had just today. How do I turn them around? Or I'm working to turn these around, and we'll tackle them next week. So some limiting beliefs are, we can't afford that. Now that's something that we tangibly say, right? Because we look at our bank account and we go, okay, I really want that, but we can't afford that. And so that's something that we're giving to our children constantly. We can't afford that. It's better to say, that's not in my budget today. It's just, you just want to tweak how you're saying some things. And then, now people might say, oh, I don't have time to think about my speech like that. You don't have time not to. I don't want to be responsible for some of the limiting beliefs that I had as a child for my children. I don't want to be responsible for those. I've already got other ones that I know I'm going to have to help them work through when they're adults. And they're like, why did you give me this limiting belief? And I go, but really, it's not true. So we have to really help them with that respect. And you have to watch your words, because your words become your actions become your deeds, and they become your destiny. It all starts with your thoughts. Yeah.
And Catherine says, how do you approach your kids using limiting beliefs, teens specifically?
Like, as in they're speaking limiting beliefs, and you're trying to help them turn it around?
I think that's...
Okay, so I would say often the teens get to this place that they think that they can't do something. Whether they've been, they have experience behind them of this never works. I think temperament plays a big role, because I think you're going to hear the melancholy say, this always happens to me. You're never going to hear that come out of a choleric's mouth or a sanguine person's mouth, because a sanguine person's not going to remember always, because they only remember half of 5 minutes ago. And so they're not going to be in that place. I think temperament plays a big role. And so really understanding what temperament they are will sort of help you guide them. But I think that when they are having struggles, it's an important opportunity to stop and look at what's actually going on. And then really talk about perspective, talk about, and a younger teen is not going to, like somebody who's around 13, like Sam just turned 13, it's starting, like the wheels are really starting to turn about like perspective, and everybody sees something different, but he's leaps and bounds behind, say, somebody who's 17 or 18. And then again, 17 or 18 is not 20. There's a huge difference between, trust me, I know, 17 or 18 and 20, a big difference. And so I think that really what we have to do is be able to say anything can happen. Anything can happen. We are reading this other book, and I actually meant to bring it down here. It's so not Waldorf. I'm just going to say it's so not Waldorf, but it's such a good little book. And we're listening to it. It's written by Ashley Eckstein. What's that book called, Danny? I can't think of what it's called. We got it.
Yeah, the name's...
We got it last year. So when we go to Comic-Con every year, just take my Waldorf hat off for a minute. When we go to Comic-Con every year, we go to the Her Universe fashion show. Now, Her Universe is the company that was started by a woman named Ashley Eckstein, and she started it because there were no viable options for geek wear for girls.
It's called It's Your Universe.
Oh, It's Your Universe is what it's called, by Ashley Eckstein. So, and actually, Anna Catherine, if we're talking about your daughter, she should read that book. It's very approachable, and I can send you a picture of it and show you what's on the inside. And anybody else who wants to see, I'm happy to share that with you as well. So no, we've been reading this book, and again, Waldorf hat off for a minute. But Ashley Eckstein created this company. She at the time worked on a Disney sitcom. She was part of the show That's So Raven. And she was like, I'm a geek. And no, it was after that. So Raven. It was after she became the voice of Ahsoka Tano, who is the young Padawan to Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars cartoon series. So again, I'm probably like, yeah, I said Waldorf hat off. So anyway, so she wanted, like, she was going to all these conventions. She wanted more than just a man's t-shirt to wear. And so she went to this was before Disney owned Lucasfilm, and she said, I will want to do this. And they said, sorry, we're not gonna start something for you. So what she realized then was that what she really needed to do is start her own company and get the licensing for it. And so that's what she did. And so she runs this fashion show at Comic-Con that is geared towards women and women designers. And they come up with, I would Google it. If you're at all interested, Google Her Universe Fashion Show, and you'll see some of the amazing designs that have won in years past. So they have a contest, and we have a lot of fun. So we've gone every year to the fashion show, and last year they were giving away this book. And this book sort of details And she's probably our age. It details, she's a little bit younger than we are. It details, though, how she got here. And the reason why I said I had to take my Waldorf hat off is because her role models were some of the songs that were in some of those Disney shows that we all love to hate. And It's a Whole New World, or, things that we teach that we can do anything. And I think often in Waldorf land, we get hung up on where the story came from, and oh, that's not the right telling of that, and oh, we don't want to do any media. But if you are going to do some, be really mindful of what messages you're giving them. I would rather give a message that had a song that was something that stuck in our head that allowed them to realize, hey, I can do anything. I want my kids to know they can do anything. They just got to figure it out. Yeah, I mean, so when Soraya says, can I go to the moon? Well, not right now, but we'll figure out how to get you there if that's really what you want to do. So let's talk about that. You become an astronaut. What do you have to do to become an astronaut? So then it opens the discussion to the next thing of what it is you want to do. But if we allow them to think, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that, that's not okay, that's not, then we're really limiting them as adults. My adult children, I have never said to them, you must go to college. I've never said that to them. And it doesn't have anything to do with my own background or Eric's own background. Eric's got 2 degrees. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, I want them to do what they want to do. And college will always be there. And if they don't want to go right now, I am okay with that. But what are you going to do right now? What are you going to do right now to make your life's purpose, your dreams come true? And guess what? Your dreams are going to change. So it's okay that you dive into something now that you might not want to do in 5 years. It's okay. That's called life. And that's called living life. Because if you put yourself in this box of, I'm just going to go to law school. Guess what? You want to go to law school at 18. At 30, you might be like, that was a big freaking mistake. I don't want to do that anymore. So you get to choose what you do. And it's okay that it's different from your neighbor. It's okay that it's different from, Joe down the street, or what, some celebrity would do, or what some other person would do. It's okay that it's different. If however, you chose, hey, yeah, I want to go to Yale, that's what I want to do, well, then that's what we should help you do. But the whole idea of understanding limiting beliefs is, hey, you can do whatever you want. Let's sort that out. Now, how does that work when it comes to behaviors? Like, yes, you can do whatever you want constructively as long as you're not hurting anybody. I'm not going to let you kick your sister. It's not a limiting belief. It's just not happening in our house. So there are, definitely like rules that go with that. I don't know. Did that help at all, Anna Catherine? I don't know if she's going to answer. Anna Catherine, I think biglifejournal.com. They have some really good resources. And again, that book, I think your daughter would really like that book. The Ashley Eckstein book. So I'm going to leave you guys with this.
Oh yeah, she said she found it on Amazon.
Oh, good. I'm going to leave you guys with this. This week, please keep track of your limiting beliefs. And if you don't think that it's affecting, like something that keeps coming up is affecting your whole life, then think again. So if you've got limiting beliefs of, my husband's never going to make more money than he does right now. The only way that I'm going to be able to have us make more money is for me to go back to work and me to put them to school. That's such a limiting belief. Oh my gosh, it's such garbage. I am never going to not yell at my kids because I grew up as a yeller. I'm a yeller. This is who I'm going to be. Or I'm never going to be enough for my children because I've been told my whole life that I'm not enough and I'm just not going to be enough. I can't do this. This is too hard. Gosh, I don't even know why I'm planning, because planning just always sets me up for failure. All of those things, I want you to be listening to yourself and listening to what's going on in your head, because there's a monster that lives up here and the mind lies. So do not believe what's going on up here half the time. There's a difference between your higher self or Holy Ghost, whatever you want to call that, your higher self speaking to you, and that nasty voice that tells you can't do crap. There's a huge difference. You have to learn to sort those two things out. You have to learn to sort of figure out which one is which. And you're not going to be able to figure it out by continuing to allow it to play in your head. That's why when I, just like from a tangible place, when I talk about rhythm and I tell you to track your actual rhythm, I tell you to track your actual rhythm because your mind lies. Like, it lies all the time. I love the quote, is it Nico Kostintzakis from St. Francis? I think that's where this quote comes from. And this isn't the whole quote, but this is the bottom end of it. The mind is Satan's lawyer. The heart is a servant unto God. So you've got to get to that heart-centered place, that place that speaks to your higher self, and listen to yourself. And when you start listening to yourself, it will spill over to your children. It will spill over to everything that you do. When you start listening to yourself and you get present and you go, oh, I need to stop saying that. Or, and it could be something very, very, very minuscule to you. Like, dang it, I'm so dumb. Guess what? The universe says she's dumb. More reasons to think you're dumb. But if you say, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I think I'm going to fix that. That's a whole lot different than I'm so dumb. Or often what's going on with a lot of moms right now is they're doing their planning. They're like, I don't even know. I am not an artist because some rude person told you weren't when you were a kid. I am not a musician. Again, rude person. I don't have any confidence in myself when it comes to painting, drawing, modeling, playing the flute. Insert your artistic ability here. That becomes a limiting belief then, that when you hold it, you're passing it on to them. When they see you striving, they realize, holy crap, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So they need to see you striving. When they see you striving, even if you don't ever arrive, you're striving though. And striving is huge. Again, remember what Steiner said. I'm going to read it one more time, at least not the whole thing, but part of it. And then we're going to close up here. So I have the other Instagram thing to get ready for in a few minutes. So I'm just going to read you Trostley's part. We must become ever more conscious of ourselves and committed to our strivings. We must work to transform ourselves so that the children in our care will be nourished by truth, beauty, and goodness, living in our thoughts, words, and deeds. Our thoughts. Not their thoughts, our thoughts. Because our thoughts become our words, and our words become our actions. Our actions become our destiny. That was Gandhi. All right. Anything by Wayne Dyer would be a good place. The Sarah books by Abraham Hicks, pretty good for probably the 9 and up crowd. They're pretty good. 8 and 9 and up. They're pretty good. They're geared towards children. It's all about law of attraction. It's all about how we think and all of those things. So I your limiting beliefs, replace them, talk to us about them, and we'll see you next week.